conflict doesn't have to be the downfall of your marriage. It can bring you closer. You can actually heighten the potential of your relationship instead of feeling like you're always in between arguments. Instead of spending that time arguing and recovering and repairing and arguing and recovering and repairing, you actually get to enjoy each other and have fun together and want to connect, want to go on dates, want to be intimate.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood can change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life in marriage? Let's dive in.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about how to know whether your communication with your spouse is in fact improving and when it's time to get help. Okay. So if you're new here, I have not always been a great communicator. I was not taught or shown how to have healthy communication, so I did not have the skills to do so. And I often found myself in a lot of arguments. I had several relationships where I would have so many arguments so often that it was like normal to me. And it wasn't until I recognized that there was a pattern in every single relationship that I had that I finally took a look and was like, okay, I am the common denominator in all these relationships. These are all very different people. And yet I find myself in the same relational dynamic in every single relationship I have. And so there must be something that I'm doing that is creating this cycle of always ending in arguments. And so I very much had to teach myself, go seek out resources and learn more about myself and improve how I communicate, which has led to my marriage where we rarely, if ever, argue. We have disagreements, but we're able to talk it out. We're able to grow closer with each conflict. And now I get the pleasure of helping couples like you be able to turn their communication around so that conflict doesn't have to be a source of, the downfall of your marriage, and that it can bring you in closer, that you can actually heighten the potential of your relationship instead of feeling like you're always in between arguments, right? But rather, instead of spending that time arguing and recovering and repairing and arguing and recovering and repairing, that you actually get to enjoy each other and have fun together and want to connect, want to go on dates, want to be intimate. Okay. And so we're going to be talking about how to know if your communication is in fact improving, or how to know that it's time to go get help to improve communication so that you don't have to have all that wasted time feeling like your marriage is just in between arguments. Okay. So before I start with this, I want to normalize that it is so common to not be taught how to communicate effectively. Okay. Unless your parents taught you or showed you how to communicate effectively, you're very much just on your own trying to figure things out. And it is based on how aware you are to see if you actually do grow as a communicator, right? If you notice how people are reacting to how you're communicating, if you notice you are constantly experiencing the same thing over and over again, if you notice that you're having very, very oddly similar and familiar fights in your marriage over and over again, and or that it's the same arguments that you experienced with previous partners, but now with your spouse. Okay. I don't want that to be the way it is. I don't want it to be kind of up to luck, up to your personality to determine whether you have a happy, successful marriage. Because marriage is really just based off skill. And until you know those skills, you're going to keep encountering these same struggles and challenges. And so I want to help you out by showing you, how do you work through these things? How can you improve your skills, work on your skills so that the harder parts of marriage don't have to feel so hard, and that it doesn't have to feel like you are one incident away from divorcing, one incident away from giving up, one incident away from feeling like, okay, we're going to have a miserable marriage for the rest of our lives if you don't believe in divorce, right? So let's normalize that, okay? Because we don't learn it in school. And unless your parents showed you, or you have some greater influence where they were like relationship goals, you're kind of just on your own, okay? You're not alone. That was me and so many of my clients as well. And I want you to just give yourself grace. Like, if marriage is feeling really hard because of communication and resentment is building up, it's not your fault. You have the power to change that, but you are just the sum of your experiences. You were not trained to be a wife. You're very much trying to figure it out on your own. And I'm here to help you so that you know that there are skills that you can learn to improve your experience and improve your husband's experience so that you guys can have a better marriage. Okay. So here are some signs to look out for to see whether your communication is improving, so that if you have been kind of glossing over it, you can take time to celebrate these small wins, because it really is just improving it little by little, instead of just looking to, well, are we still arguing or are we not? Am I still crying or am I not? Are we still yelling, right? There are little mini steps and milestones that you can look out for to see, oh, we are actually improving as communicators. So let's keep going, okay? Because I don't want you to throw in the towel too early. There are definitely times where, yeah, maybe it's time to call it quits because you two are not compatible. But if you're calling it quits before verifying that it really is just a lack of skills, and if you just learn those skills and apply them, that'd be really sad, right? I don't want that for you. All right, so here are some signs that there are fewer and fewer misunderstandings going on between you two. There are more and more resolutions being created between you two, and you are getting to those resolutions faster. Okay? The way that you are speaking to each other, the tone, the respect, the kindness is increasing. Okay? So no name calling or less name calling if that's where you're coming from. No yelling or less yelling, right? Or when you call it out, they can catch themselves and stop. Or maybe it's you that's the yeller, right? There's a shift in the language and the tone that's being used during hard conversations. There is increased openness and vulnerability going on. So both sides are feeling more comfortable opening up, sharing things that maybe you two have never shared before with each other or with anyone, exploring yourselves, growing with each other, and having those raw conversations that you wouldn't have with anyone else, right? Or being less afraid to share a side of you, or being less afraid to admit some truths that even you're scared to admit to yourself, okay? Those are all things that you can look out for. Whether it's someone taking longer to get upset, someone bringing up something that's bothering them sooner, right? These are all great progress markers to keep track of, rather than just waiting for you two to not argue anymore, waiting for you to be able to have conversations rather than going from conflict straight to arguing, okay? That is a process, and it takes time and consistency and practice for you to get there. But I don't want you to be like, oh, yeah, we tried for a month. It's not working. We're still arguing. What if you're just not noticing the things that you guys are doing better? Okay. So take a moment, hit pause on this episode if you need to reflect on the progress that you guys have made. How are you guys doing based on what I shared? Are you experiencing some of those improvements? Are you recognizing that, yeah, you two are having those wins and they are actually getting better? Maybe not at the rate that you were hoping for, but are they getting better? Because the beauty of improvements is that we often have this like moment where something clicks inside of us and it's like a snowball effect, right? It's like it starts out small and as it rolls down the hill, it collects more snow and it gets bigger and bigger and gets more momentum and it starts like really going, right? Same thing. It goes slow because we're attaining information and we're trying to change our habits because we've been doing this thing this way for so long, decades, right? And so we've got to kind of unlearn some things and instill new habits and new skills. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get it now. And it becomes easier and easier. And you get that momentum and you see that progress and it's noticeable. And then you get to the point where maybe it's like me, where it's like, yeah, we just don't argue. We have conflict, we sort it out together, we come out stronger as a team, and marriage gets better and better. And, we have more fun than we don't. And so take a moment and reflect like, are we experiencing these wins, no matter how small they are? And if you are, amazing, keep going. But if you are not, and you are noticing that conflict feels the same every single time, or maybe conflict is getting worse over time, then it's time to consider getting help, okay? And because what do you do when you have an issue with your health? You go see a doctor and they help you. What do you do when there's something broken in the house that you have no experience fixing? You go look it up, right? Whether it's YouTube or Reddit or wherever you love to look things up, and you are like, oh, do I want to do this? No, I don't want to do this. I think it'd be much faster to hire a professional, and you go get help, right? Right now, we are replacing our fume hood for whatever reason. I don't understand. Our house has a fume hood that's like the vent that goes above the stove. I love to cook, and so there's been plenty of times where I have set off the smoke alarm because our fume hood doesn't send the fumes, the steam, the smoke, all of that outside the house. It shoots it up the exhaust and it comes out these ventilation holes at the ceiling, which makes zero sense. Like, what is the point, right? And so we're having that replaced. We're working with a general contractor to do it because we're like, we have no idea what we're doing. We don't want to mess with that, right? It'd be much faster to work with someone to do that, to let them know, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish here. And please help us, because it would take us forever and a lot of mistakes to do that ourselves. Okay. And same thing with communication. Okay. If you don't already have that baseline information and you have done everything that you can to figure it out on your own and it is not working, maybe it's time to hire a professional to help you with that. Okay. I cannot tell you how valuable it has been to have a coach. Okay. I'm going to share a couple stories with you because this is just like such a great reflection. So my son, my youngest son, he's my middle child, he's 8, is playing basketball on a team for the first time. And during their first game, they got annihilated. Okay, like there's no other way to put it. The other team scored 28. His team scored a big fat goose egg. Okay. And as a mom, I don't want to be like, wow, you guys lost and you guys got slaughtered. That'd be terrible. That would not encourage him to continue playing, right? That'd be very defeating. And I'm not that person. So, I was like, you know what? Even though you guys didn't win, even though you didn't score, did you notice that you guys improved the second half? He's like, what? What do you mean? We didn't make any points. We didn't, it's like, yeah, but the first half, you guys got scored on 20 points. The second half, you only let them score 8 points. So that means that defense got way better, right? And of course, he has practice twice a week. He works with a coach. She played basketball in college. And so she's looking at how they're playing the game. And then the next couple practices, she was doing special drills because she noticed, okay, you guys need help developing this skill because they kept scoring on you guys because of this. Or you guys need to work on, being more aggressive. And so she was having these like fun drills for them to do. And I was like, oh, I see what you're doing here. Right. And so they're getting more practice in. And then the second game they had, they scored and they didn't lose as bad, right? And so I think the final score is maybe 15-11. It's like, wow, that is awesome. It was an actual game going on, right? Not just watching our team run back and forth, getting the ball stolen, getting scored on, and, feeling defeated. And so having that to witness and being able to apply that to my own life, because I just started playing tennis after moving to Georgia, because once I moved here to this neighborhood, the single most asked question was, do you play tennis? And so I was like, should I play tennis? I guess this is a great way to meet people and also be physically active, right? And I have played zero tennis all my life up until I moved here. Okay. Maybe I like picked up a racket during like a single rotation in high school, but like that's it. Okay. And so I suck naturally because I have no former experience, no prior experience playing. I didn't know how to hold it properly. Hand-eye coordination, all the things, right? And so with each practice, I'm like, man, I am missing more balls than anything. Or if I actually make contact with the ball, I am hitting it too hard. Like, I don't understand what I'm doing. But because I'm working with a coach, right? He's able to tell me, turn your body this way, move your shoulders, prepare to hit the ball before it gets to you. All these little things because he's noticing, okay, this is where she can improve. Let's have her try these things. Let's have her do these drills. And, I went from scoring nothing on my first match to also scoring nothing my second match, but at least having it be more of a back and forth game where the ball was actually in play for more than just one hit, to my third match where we actually scored. We might not have won at all, but we got a point on the board and we went to deuce multiple times. And I was hitting the ball more often. I was getting good shots in. We were just outplayed, but it felt more evenly matched, right? Because my skills improved, something within me just clicked. And my coach just yesterday, I had practice yesterday. He was like, you are improving a lot. And I'm like, yeah, something about my body is like, it's clicking now. All the things he goes, yeah, muscle memory, you're building it. It's just going to keep getting better and better. And your progress is going to improve a lot faster now because, I have my baseline knowledge, and communication is the same thing, right? Once you understand the foundation of healthy communication and you apply it consistently and you practice and you reflect, it's going to get easier. So what previously felt really uncomfortable to me, which was bringing up hard topics and staying in it and listening to what the other person had to say, if it wasn't exactly what I needed them to say, right? It felt so challenging to stay a part of that, to not break down and cry, to not be really emotional, to not want to storm off, to not want to get passive aggressive and get defensive, to being able to listen to them and know that that's their truth. And instead of taking personally, ask questions and talk it through and notice, oh, I think that they misunderstood what I said because they're starting to get defensive, right? Noticing these little things because I've become a more skilled communicator. and being able to get to the part where we get to come up with a resolution, getting to high five my husband because we fought really well, right? To being able to have that approach of how can we fight better? I have never in a million years thought that I would get to this place based on my history. Okay. So no matter how bad communication has got in your marriage, that is not going to define how communication is going to continue to go if you know what to focus on, if you know what to practice, if you have someone helping you with these skills. Okay. So if you're experiencing trouble with communication, you're having trouble being partners, you can't get past the phase of arguing and get to that good place of, I just want to spend all my time with you. I just want to enjoy us. I want to go on dates. I want to do these things. And I actually want to connect with you because we've worked through our resentment. We've worked through our frustrations with each other. And we're just having fun, right? If you need help getting there, reach out to me. Work with me as your coach because I can teach you what you need to know based on where you're at. I can give you feedback based on how you're currently communicating, meet you where you're at and teach you what you are missing to be able to get to that level of communication and do it in a way that's faster. Right? Just like how I hired a general contractor to install my fume hood, just like how I hired a tennis coach to help me learn faster instead of just trying to figure it out on my own. You get to have that accountability, that support, the structured guidance, and expedited progress. The sooner you deal with it, the sooner you get to have the type of marriage that you want, okay? So give yourself grace for wherever you're at. Marriage has hard moments. And it's really hard when you weren't shown a good example for how healthy marriages work. When you haven't been taught how to communicate in a way that encourages conversation instead of confrontation and arguing. So wherever you're at, give yourself grace. You're doing your best. And if you're ready to take that next step and ask for help, I am celebrating your courage to do so because your marriage deserves that fighting chance. And so if you two have given it your all and you have no idea what to do next, work with someone. Reach out to me. I can help you figure out what the next steps are to help you see that improvement that you are wanting, to help you get to that point where you love your marriage again, okay? At the end of the day, a successful marriage is just based on having healthy communication, having partnership, having that connection. And with the right support, you can master all of that and be able to reap the benefits of having a partner in your life. And that's all I want for you, okay? So if you have any questions, reach out to me, send me a message on Instagram, or shoot me an email, or even better yet, book a call with me to talk about what your next steps can look like working with me as your marriage coach, okay? Communication doesn't have to be hard. Conflict doesn't have to mean arguing. It can be a conversation. And you can get to the point where your marriage feels like it is just the cherry on top of a really great life. Okay? Until next time, that's all for this episode. If you love this, let me know. If you want support, book a call. If you know someone that could benefit from listening to this, send them this episode. And of course, if you love this show, please leave a rating and review so that people like you can learn about this podcast and get the support that they need. And I hope you have a great day. I'll catch you back here on the next episode. Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perda Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.